Hey, welcome to the Daycare podcast. This is your host, Mr. Nipples, and we have our other host, Nick, on the line. And tonight is a special episode. We got a crossover. Boys, you want to tell them who it is?
That's you guys.
That's you guys, yeah.
Oh, we're supposed
Oh,
to
we're
chime
supposed to
in?
talk now?
Yep,
Yeah.
start talking. hit him
All
with
right.
it.
I'm the late Mort Walker, the author and illustrator of Beetle Bailey.
What? So,
I also go by Pete Barlow, and I write G.I. Low.
in person.
It's true. Mark's honest, at least.
I'm sorry.
I have a vocal crossover to be a companion piece to the most recent comic crossovers we've done.
Yeah. Well, Pete has to be funnier because have you looked at him?
It's true. I look like McLovin if he were a crack addict.
Oh shit.
That's extra
I'm
rough.
still waiting on those Blue's Clues memes that you keep threatening to make about me.
I know they're in process and they're like half edited and all these other trends keep popping up and they keep put on the back burner.
What is trending more than me? Have you not seen I was shared on Army WTF Moments?
Chicken sandwiches.
And for an intent, oh well, yeah, that's true. I can't compete with the Chick-fil-A fight.
Dude, don't compete with chicken sandwiches. What can I say?
I mean,
I
yeah.
haven't been able to get close enough to a Popeyes to even try it, dude. This like a fucking madhouse in there. It is level 100 clown house level. Like there's stuffed in there.
We have a Popeyes here in town. Just opened up last year.
That must be a very exciting, bustling metropolitan. A Popeyes.
And
It's been
they've
absolutely
sold out.
culturally enriched by Popeyes. Thank God.
They have been sold out from since day two.
All right, I used to be stationed at Fort Stewart. Every single building on post, Popeyes was used as a reference how to get there. So it's 2 blocks and to the right from Popeyes. It's
Yeah.
well, it's and you know what? I joke more, but every time I drive by Popeyes, I smell it and I have to get it.
Oh, I get it. I do.
It's the crack cocaine of fried chicken. It's just delightful.
I've had Popeyes like twice in my life.
I'm gonna have some Chick-fil-A enthusiasts plant a pipe bomb in my car. So I did that for you. You're welcome, Popeyes.
But see, that's how you know
Are you sponsored yet?
that he's never been stationed or even been in the field in Graph.
I have been to Graph.
No, I'm talking about Mr. Nipples. Because if
Oh.
Mr. Nipples has ever gone to Graph, before you go out to the field, you eat Popeyes. When you get back from the field, you eat Popeyes.
See, that's the big thing between Chick-fil-A and Popeyes. I walk into a Chick-fil-A, and I feel like I'm in a 5-star fast food restaurant. I walk into Popeyes, and I'm just trying not to get stabbed.
Yeah, I just want to point out that how much you just praised the Popeyes at Grafenbeer. It's like, go to Bavaria, try the Popeyes.
Yep.
Germans are known for their Popeyes chicken.
Well, I'm telling you, it's when you eat nothing but MREs for 42 days, 43 days, it's like that shit's 5-star cuisine.
I just imagine people it's like come to Nuremberg from Japan and it's like, well, what do you want to see? It's like, oh, I just want to go to the Popeyes at Grafenbeer. I heard it's
Why not?
really good.
Well, I was in Mönchengladbach. I don't know if you guys know where that is.
Gesundheit.
It's up by Kalka. Well, 30 minutes.
Where is this place at? Is this imaginary? What are these
Deutschland.
names?
It's Deutschland.
Deutschland.
Everywhere in Bavaria sounds like it was made up by
Fucking
the Grimm
Memeland.
brothers.
Except that's not in Bavaria.
No, it is
Mönchengladbach
not?
is up by the North Sea.
Oh.
And it's up by the NATO station, Kalka. Well,
That's your language.
yeah. I was up there, and I was walking through town one day, and there's this place called World of Sex, and I had to swing in there. This place is as big as Walmart, but a porn shop.
Oh my God.
So I walk out, and I'm walking down the road, looking at the video I just bought, because you don't have to be careful over there, because everybody, they have porn on orange juice commercials. And I'm walking along, and what's right there in front of me? A Dunkin' Donuts.
Ach du Lieber. That is so exotic.
Da.
So exotic. Oh my god.
Oh, mein Gott, das ist the beste.
So-
Alles klar.
You could
Wait, so was it for real Dunkin' Donuts?
Yes,
Like it was
for real. They even had the burger on the donut.
Oh hell yeah.
So
Because my memory of like
Top
I'm sorry.
American cuisine.
But my memory of like the what do they call it? The bakeries in Germany, where I'd look through the window, I'd see these things that looked like they were so spectacularly delicious. You know, like look like a strawberry, glazed whatever, banana with chocolate, whatever. So I'd buy them. You take one bite, and it's like they were made with zero sugar. It was like the
Yep.
blandest pastry.
They made it with Wasserbrot,
What is that?
water bread.
Oh, okay.
But when you use it as a Brettchen, and you put your meats on it, or your egg, or the good German cheeses on there, that shit's amazing. But when you try and serve it with sweets, it's no go.
Yeah, I mean, I was digging the breads, but those pastries they were boo.
I exclusively just ate Popeyes while I was in Germany because that's what they're known for.
Well, when I was there, Germans were getting pissed off at Americans being in Germany. I don't know why, because we held up half the damn economy. And somebody firebombed the local Pizza Hut, and it never came back.
Actually, I can tell you why Germans hate Americans stationed in Germany.
Because we take all the women?
That too. But, all right, I say this as a proud patriot and a U.S. soldier. U.S. soldiers stationed in Germany just suck. They're just the most obnoxious frat boys all the time.
All right, that is about 3/4 of them. I'll give you
Didn't
that.
you describe the
at least
entire
I'll give you
US
3/4.
US Army
As
and Marines?
I just remember I would go bar hopping with these guys, and it was just like, come on, just can you just tone down the just for 5 minutes. It was insane. I remember just all right, I'm not trying to sound like a snob or anything like that. But ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. But it was just I would just talk to these guys and it was like, just learn how to say sprechen Sie English. No, I'm not gonna. Yeah. I'm just like, okay, I hate you. I hate you too. It's just like, man, it's like, imagine if he was I don't know, moved to another state and just terrible example. I'm sorry, I've been at work all day.
Imagine you moved down to the southern part of the bayous of Louisiana.
Yeah, you know what? If I move to the southern bayous of Louisiana, I'm learning Louisiana. I don't know.
Cajun.
Creole. I'm at least gonna be familiar with the lingo.
Yeah.
Fair warning, I'm gonna be loopy because I just got off work. Mark will vouch for me. I'm still in my OCPs right now.
He is.
My campaign hat is on his kitchen cabinet.
Plus, I've been feeding him whiskey.
Well, that's Arizona hospitality.
I'm the only sober guy in the show. Go figure.
Indeed.
I'm sober. I'm just beat.
My roommates fed me Crown today.
Those are good roommates.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
The best.
His
I've been around
roommate
for
is his
moral
wife?
support. No, I have two other roommates. They're my goons.
Yeah, I was talking to Mark about I was excited to be on the show again because I realized I've been on the Daycare podcast twice now, and I think I spent collectively 30 seconds actually talking about my comic.
Yeah.
And I know why. It's because you get a bunch of soldier types, military types together. They will anecdote for hours.
Yeah, for real. I don't even want to talk about my comic.
Well, come on.
I'm just going to shoot the shit with these guys. This is great.
Okay, I got to get to this real quick before we get off on a tangent like we usually do, because we usually end up, off in somewhere off in left field. So I know for a fact every pet owner does this. Everybody that's ever drawn a picture gets a voice in their head of what that pet or character or whatever is, right? We all do it. What is the voice that you guys have in your head of either G.I. Joe or Private Murphy?
Oh my
Let's go
God.
first.
No, I don't know. Honestly, I have not thought of that.
Well,
But if I were to make a guess right off the top of my head right now, I'm thinking a cool James Earl Jones.
Oh my God,
Would be Murphy.
I want that so much.
Oh,
If
shit.
anyone listening has Hollywood money and Hollywood influence, please make a cartoon of Private Murphy and cast James Earl Jones as Murphy. That I would
Oh,
make me
shit.
so happy.
That would be outstanding.
I can't top that. So I've often, I know Derwin was on the podcast recently, and he's got more ambition than I have talent. So he's constantly suggesting ideas, and he's like, hey Pete, I think it'd be really cool if we did like a GI Low web series, And I don't know why I made him sound like he's from Wisconsin, but the point is,
Because he's almost from that area.
he's from Indiana, just the good Midwest. He's got that good staccato accent. Hi Derwin. So it's kind of like, oh, who would you get to do the voice of G.I. Lowe? And so I was like, if I was to make this into a movie, I think Jonah Hill would be a good G.I. Lowe.
Oh my God,
so
that'd be so
I
good.
can see it, yeah. So I could see maybe Jonah Hill voicing him. He's a talented actor. It's actually interesting because we've done a few crossovers. We're working on another one. It's a little more ambitious. But I asked Mark, who, if you were to make a Private Murphy movie, who would you cast to play Murphy, just so I can kind of, work on likeness and whatnot. And I don't think we ever settled on anyone. But you know what? Let's stick with James Earl Jones.
No, it was Bart Simpson.
Oh, Bart Simpson, yeah. All right.
He looks like Bart. I've had people ask me. I've been, like drawing a sketch for them. And they're like, "Is that Bart Simpson?" So of course that's quite a blow. No, it's not Bart Simpson.
Damn it, Private Bart.
I would say both Mark and I have talked a lot about influences and whatnot, and I think if you're from a certain generation or certain generations, I mean Simpsons has a huge influence on your work.
30 years.
30 years. It crosses generations.
Yeah.
So I mean, I learned to draw by drawing Simpson characters as a kid.
Mac writing has had a huge impact in this world.
I mean, both my writing, my artwork, Simpsons had a huge impact. So I was going to say, Mark, who were some of your influences?
Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, good.
John Byrne, if you know who that is, he drew the X-Men for many years, a long time ago.
Oh, shit, yeah.
In the 80s.
Golden years.
Shit, I don't know. That's it, I think, maybe. I don't know.
So I was thinking back at one of the G.I. Lowe comics, and you guys talked about a movie being made about Private Murphy. And an actor who could play him, Vin Diesel.
I like it.
I actually just made a comic about Vin Diesel, so that's fitting. And they misspelled his name.
I know.
So Vin Diesel, if you're listening, I apologize. I'm sure you're crying into a handful of $1,000 bills right now. Yeah, that's as I posted on the page. That's one of the dangers of a comic doing well, is especially I think Mark can certainly identify with this. If you don't have an editor on staff or something like that, which I really don't unless I'm making a book. I mean, you'll put up comics with typos. I've got a comic that I did where a character had 2 left hands. The
Damn,
flag
that's impressive.
on different sides of the uniform, and it's just those comics. Murphy's Law, Private Murphy's Law.
Yep.
They always do well, and so tons and tons of people see your mistakes, and it's just oh God, no. One of the crossovers we did was about it was Murphy and Lowe at a DFAC, and they're talking about donating blood for Sergeant First Class, I think, or First Sergeant.
Yeah, First Sergeant.
And so it was they're both well, I want to donate blood. And it was and Murphy's well, we can't because we're not high enough rank. We don't have enough nicotine and caffeine in our system.
Yeah.
And I'll take the hit for this one because I wrote Lowe's dialogue for that comic, and I was But I'm O positive. That's universal donor. O positive is not the universal
No, it's
donor.
not.
And
Always.
everyone on the internet,
Let
of
us know
course,
that.
decided to let us know.
Yeah, if you don't have an editor checking out your work beforehand, go ahead and post it, because all of a sudden you will have 50,000 editors
Instantly.
that will let you know just what a jackass you are.
50,000 professionals.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I feel like an idiot, absolutely. But I mean, and it doesn't matter how many times I read and read over and read over. I think I'm averaging about at least one spelling mistake on every single cartoon I put up there, and someone will point it out, and I'll just think, oh my God, how did I miss this? Because each time I'm like, okay, next time I'm absolutely gonna make sure there's not a spelling mistake.
Like,
Wrong.
do not pay my book editor nearly enough, because like she has the thankless job. I mean, I pay her the thankless job of going through all of the comics I give her and finding all the grammatical errors. And just each time she sends me an email back like, I'm gonna need another month. I was like, I understand. So, Cassie, if you're listening out there, thank you so much for all you do.
But even with like the grammatical errors, I see it as if you have characters and they're talking. And I think anything in a word balloon, I mean, besides spelling mistakes, is fair game, because people talk how they talk. You should make a character talking. But I would have, my old editor at the Army Times would correct my English, and I'm like, these are two guys talking. That's how soldiers talk. They're not going to be, nevertheless.
Well,
that stuff I think is like over the top.
And
But
that is also my explanation for all the grammatical errors.
that's exactly it. Have you heard how people talk nowadays? They don't even pronounce words properly anymore.
They constantly throw extra E's into words. So that's why there's
Oh
extra
my God,
E's.
I can't spell to save my fucking life, dude. I'll put an E anywhere in a word. I'll just slap that shit at the beginning sometimes because I'm fucking autistic. I just full send on spelling mistakes. It's rough out here.
No, the worst I had it was so I actually posted a comic when I was driving across country to be where I'm a drill sergeant at, and in the comic it was still during the Drill Sergeant Academy series. So based on actual experience I had when I was at the Drill Sergeant Academy, there were two characters who were twins. And like I remember I was at the academy and I was like, I talked to them both and I was like, I have to include you two. Like, it's too interesting to have identical twins in the same class at the Drill Sergeant Academy. They're like, absolutely, yeah, include us. And so I did the lazy thing, which was I drew one character, then I copy pasted, and then I rotated. And I forgot to swap out the Army, so Army was spelled backwards on one of their shirts. They were in the PTs. And I posted it, and people were like,
He's just dyslexic. Don't worry about it.
yeah, you just mirrored it. And unfortunately, I was driving cross country at the time, so I couldn't just like pull up my laptop, fix it, put it back up. It was like there's no Wi-Fi in the desert, So I just had to like sit in that for a while. And then by the time I took it down and put it back up, it was like, you have 3 likes because everyone liked it when it had grammatical errors in it.
Oh. So you mentioned Derwin.
Oh,
And
yeah.
There's 2 things that are coming out of that. He's actually coming back on the show on the first Wednesday of next month.
Good. That was an entertaining show.
And he's going to be bringing with him the living, breathing, or trying to, the living, breathing version of Perfect Whiskey. Because that man, the way he reads, just...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, poor Derwin. For those of you, I guess, skipped the Derwin episode. All right, so in addition to being a very talented author, he's also my book publisher. And in addition to being my book publisher and a writer, he is one of the people I annoy the most with drafts of G.I. Joe comics saying, is this funny? Is this funny? Is this funny? Mark has experienced some of that. But so at one point he was like, hey, I'm working on this book. I want to include Lo as a character. And I was like, absolutely. And so he sent me the draft. I was like, this is good. And then he sent me the audio book. And I was like, I want this guy to narrate my life.
Right?
It's like he made the chapters about Lo, and it's just sort of like, you made this goofy little caricature. I
Headmaster.
did.
Who's the headmaster?
The headmaster. I'm just like, Lo is just the dorkiest character of terrible NCOs out there, and he made it. He gave it gravitas. It was like, wow. So the Batman Begins gritty reboot of Lo, like that the guy who does the voiceover work for his audiobooks, he did that.
So the second thing, and I just found this out from Derwin, there's going to be 2 soldiers making an appearance in an upcoming book by the name of Sergeant Nipples and Fuku.
I'm honestly so excited to be Sergeant Nipples in a book. That shit's gonna be hilarious.
Did you get a literary promotion? Or were you serving before that?
No, he is actually an E5 in the Navy.
Yeah.
So
So technically, I'm petty officer second class Nipples, but
Yeah, well, you know.
could be an
he
honorary
there were
soldier in
bits
this
about
one.
space, so not a lot of water in space, or maybe there is. I'm not a good science.
I need to be Space Force petty officer Nipples.
Speaking of space, what do you think about the fact that the only crime that has ever happened in space is by a woman?
They're 46% of the 56% of the population, and they're 100% crime rate in space. I don't trust them anymore.
Well, good luck dating.
I already got a wife.
All right.
I still don't trust
Good
her.
luck with bigamy.
I wonder sometimes she's gonna steal my bank account when she goes to space.
So what
She's probably
happened?
gonna beat me now.
I kind of know what. I kind of saw a little bit about that, but what did she do? She
All
did
right,
some
so you-
identity theft from the space station or something?
You've got access to like every major computer system from every major government in the world when you're in the International Space Station. Any country that takes part, you have access to their systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently she hacked into her ex's bank account from space. So
How bad was her ex, though?
Space
What did
hackers.
you plan on What did you plan on spending the money on up there?
Moon
I
rocks.
think she was just trying to like
Right.
She was trying to get that good moon rock.
maybe she doesn't get enough per diem. I don't know.
Holy crap!
Well, you know, Buzz Aldrin got like $7.
I've never met her ex before. Maybe he's a total douche and had a couple. So, I mean, just imagine, like, the look on that guy's face. You've been hacked from where? Space.
We've traced the IP back to the International Space Station. Oh god, the aliens are invading my bank account. Not again.
Hey, wasn't there another female astronaut a couple years back that did some
Oh,
type
no,
of
this was
craziness?
like a decade ago. Yeah, she
She
was
drove across the country wearing
a diaper.
pins.
Yep,
And-
a diaper.
It was. What was that whole story?
I don't.
Her car broke down.
Astronauts losing their minds.
It sounded like Ryan seemed like she had it all together.
Ripley.
had it all together.
Yeah, Ripley.
Yeah, well, okay, well, it's
Sandra
not
Bullock
actual-
and Gravity?
They broke the mold with Ripley.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, that's right. Sandra Bullock and Gravity.
Well, Ripley probably still broke the mold.
Sandra Bullock lost her damn mind in Gravity.
What was that?
That's true. She was having hallucinations and shit.
True. George Clooney was dead and she saw him.
Yep.
Spoiler alert for a movie that came out like a decade ago.
In case you haven't seen
Yeah,
it.
in case you haven't seen Gravity.
It's been like 6 years. Yeah, I went to it at the theater with the wife here in my house.
Yeah, seeing her doing that thing where she was spinning around, I was getting motion sickness just watching that.
Right? And we watched it on one of those huge, freaking, massive screens.
Oh
It's
my
like
god, I
3
would have
stories
had
tall.
to have left the theater.
Oh. Fucking shit. All right, so, yeah, that's going to be fun. So now we know what you guys' voices are, and, you know, I was going to have you guys act it out, but there's no way I can do that, so.
Yeah, I don't think I could pull off James Earl. no matter how hard I
Do your
try.
best.
If
Let's
I
hear your
could-
best effort.
No way. If I could, I would. I would just be talking like that all the time.
Well, the horrible thing is, I think I shared a Facebook status about this. I don't remember if I shared it to JLO because I try not to share anything too autobiographical. But one of those great moments of feeling old and angry, I first got in here, I'm the new drill sergeant, so I'm like permanently angry.
I'm going to cut you off real quick. I can't believe Pete is sitting across me right now talking about feeling old and angry just earlier we were talking. And I was telling
Y'all are
him,
all old as
I was
hell.
telling him about an event in my life, and he says, "Yeah, I was 1 year old."
Yeah.
I'm just
Pete's
gonna go ahead and throw it out there. Y'all are all old as hell.
Oh, I
Pete is
know.
younger than I am.
You just called your co-host old. Can you live with that?
Yeah, he
Yes.
does it all the time.
I do it all the time.
But I remember, so like when you first graduate from the academy, you're just sort of like at a 10 at all times. And so I remember I was Chow Hall drill sergeant, I'm walking around, and one of the soldiers is like, "Look, drill sergeant, have you ever seen the Bee movie?" I was like, "What? No." He's like, "You sound like the guy from the Bee movie." I was like, "You mean I sound like Jerry Seinfeld, star and inspiration of the greatest sitcom of all time?
You Barry
and you know him
Benson
from
looking
the
ass.
Bee movie?" It was just like, oh my God, I felt so old and angry.
What is
No,
this? What is a Seinfeld?
I'm sorry. Seinfeld is not the
What?
greatest. It is not the greatest sitcom of all times.
I don't even know what it
I
is.
have to disagree. What would you say is the greatest sitcom of all time?
The man that created that performed the greatest act of athleticism ever by scoring 4 touchdowns in a single game.
What?
What? Oh, Married with Children.
These
you go.
These nuts. That's it.
American
the one.
Yeah, that's, oh,
Christina Applegate. Do I need to say more?
She did awaken a lot of puberty back in the day. And she still looks good.
Who is
Yeah.
Christina Applesauce? I don't know
Oh,
who this
get
is.
out.
Oh God. You will join forces in hating you right now.
You guys, he just turned 21 like a month ago, so let's give him a break.
I'm 22. Damn it.
That's a big difference. He's
It's a
old
huge
enough to drink
difference.
+1.
Yeah, I can drink +1 drinks now. I'll have you know I've had plenty of alcohols since I've turned 21.
I gotta inform you that I had plenty of alcohol since the time I was like 12.
I've at least had 6 Long Island iced teas from Applebee's. Okay.
I've got a special meme coming out here in like a week or two, special just for Minister Nipples.
Thank God.
It is a Starbucks cup, but it's not going to be the Starbucks logo on there.
It's gonna be White Claw. Calling it.
Yes.
Called it. Oh.
Yeah. Pumpkin spice White Claw.
Oh fuck! I wish they'd make that already.
Oh, God bless autumn. It's just the best time of year.
It is, dude. I already had pumpkin spice stuff from Starbucks.
You got
Actually.
your furry boots out already?
Goddamn, my furry boots? No, not yet. It's too hot.
Is it? Yeah, Mark and I live in Arizona, so fall doesn't really start until about December 15th.
That sucks. I love fall.
Yeah.
Fall's the best time of year. Fall and spring.
That's the best part about drinking. It could be fall any time of the year.
True.
I don't know about that. I've drunken lots of rum in the hot sun, and it's not a good idea. I do not
That sounds
suggest.
like a terrible
I do
idea.
not suggest drinking half a bottle of Kraken when you're tailgating at a NASCAR event in midsummer.
But
like
see,
100
then you
degrees.
fall.
There's at least 7 Pirates of the Caribbean movies explaining that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I did not take Jack Sparrow's word on that one, and I honestly really should. He's a man of wisdom, and I did not listen.
Yeah,
So-
half those characters should have been having terrible hangovers. I mean, the Caribbean's so huge.
I didn't have a hangover. It was just awful because it was so fucking hot and I was so drunk. And then I got
You know-
yelled at by a preacher. It wasn't a good time.
Smoke Anthem had the saying when I was in. And it was, you're not drunk so long as you can find your ass with both hands. You don't have a drinking problem so long as you don't spill your shit.
Don't think that'll fly with police. Like,
Officer, watch this.
Well,
Sir, you're blowing really high on the charts. We're gonna have to put you under arrest, sir. I can still find my ass. I'll have you know. I'm gonna be on my way, officer.
You
See where my hands are? They're in my back pockets.
It's
Hey,
I
you
already
ever-
got both hands in my prison wallet, officer. Nothing else can fit. I swear. No cavity searches, please.
Have you ever been truly like stupid drunk and tried to grab your ass with both hands?
I don't think I have.
have
No,
not.
actually, I generally don't go for my ass.
On your ass.
You probably deserve it.
I usually just
but-
follow my ass because I try to do parkour when I'm drunk. But
Germany is the best place to be when you're drunk.
we watched a
Is
Vietnam.
that Oktoberfest?
We watched a Vietnam. Last time we got really drunk, me and all my roommates were watching a Vietnam. What is it? A documentary. It was Vietnam in color. And we were every time they were like dropping napalm and shit, we just started cheering. We were like, "Woo, get them!" You just all fucking yelling. It was like a NASCAR race. Is great. I had a great time.
One of the stranger experiences I've ever had. What was it? There was some show on Spike where it was like the Deadliest Warrior or something like
Yes.
that.
Okay.
Where so like they would be like, who would win in a fight?
I used to
Genghis
fucking love that
Khan
show.
versus Shaka Zulu, and it was the dumbest show that of course I watched every week. But I remember there was one episode where it was Al Qaeda versus the IRA, and I was watching it with
That was a good one.
friends, and we were watching it like we were watching a sporting event. We're like, "Go IRA!"
Get them!
And the horrible thing is, after the episode aired, we all just kind of sat there in silence. It just felt gross. It was like, oh, these are two horrible organizations that killed thousands of people.
Do we
What
just
is
cheer
wrong
for
with
the
them?
IRA?
It's like,
Oh,
oh,
shit.
God, we have to live with ourselves right now. It's like, we're just kind of like, well, the IRA never, bombed America, so that's good. It was
That's definitely a plus.
I think each of us just kind of like went home and just took like a 4-hour shower, just kind of like, oh God, who am I?
Bro, the IRA is just out there fighting for their potatoes and shit, you know?
It's just like, oh God. So yeah, it's weird what turns into sporting events sometimes.
Do you guys remember the last episode, the series finale of that show?
No, I think I was in basic training when that show went off the air.
Vampires versus zombies. It was fucking
Thank
horrible.
God. Who won?
Oh, yeah, it was
Why?
bad.
Nobody. The zombies became vampires, the vampires became zombies.
That shit was
They
so
were, like,
dumb.
Crossbreeds and
I think I can speak for Mark in some regards. All writers kind of think about what like the dream writing gigs are, and one of my dream writing gigs that I think is off the table now because the show's off the air. 1,000 Ways to Die, also on Spike. It's
actually Spike no longer exists.
It does. Okay,
Oh,
then
really?
that's really off the table.
It is now the Paramount Network. They
Is
bought
it?
Yep,
Oh, shit, alright.
because
But
Inkmaster was on Spike and now it's on Paramount.
but there are just so many just easy paycheck, just sort of like come up with because 1,000 Ways to Die. For those of you who haven't seen it, because it's not a thing anymore. Spike's not a thing anymore. Real life deaths, and they wouldn't be particularly interesting. But because it was Spike, it'd be like so they'd find a story like a man was hit by a bus, and it was like, well, that's not good enough. So it was like, she was a stripper who dressed like a clown on weekends, and she was filleting a banana and was distracted by a bus. And then they come up with puns for it, and then they'll bring in a doctor who's like, if you get hit by a bus, it'll kill you. And then they'll show like a skeleton like getting hit by a bus, and then it's just like, the moral of the story is don't eat a banana while crossing the street while dressed like a clown and being a stripper.
Oh my god! I remember the one that I remember. I was watching this when I was a kid, and I remember the one where it was like a dude was fucking an electrified cow heart, and it electrocuted him. They had the most outlandish shit on that damn show.
And then they always have like
The person who actually died probably accidentally knocked like a radio into his bathtub, and they were like, no, that's not good enough. It's like, he was fucking a cow thing.
And the funny part is, they always had like a medical expert explain exactly what happened. It's like,
Yeah.
I saw
And
what
it was
happened, you idiot.
And the thing is, their explanations weren't even very like interesting. It was just sort of like, if you take an axe to the skull, it tends to crush the brain a little bit and split it in half. And it's just like, thank you, forensic expert.
And then the cause of the subcranial hematoma and the blood, and it's like, what? God.
So, I mean, I think any comedy writer just dreams of selling out their talents for just a really stupid, well-paying gig sometimes. I mean, I think we'll get some Mark's insight into this.
My insight?
Yeah.
I'd sell out in a second.
So my sister actually is a writer in LA, and she had a show on TV Land called Teachers for 3 years. And
You might have heard of it. You might have
it's
seen it.
kind of a big deal.
It's a pretty
Actually,
big
it's
deal.
really good. You guys should all check it out. It's on iTunes and on demand. But I kept sort of jokingly suggesting things to my sister about it. Like, it's like, I feel like the humor is a little highbrow. So, like, maybe if you just dumped it down, like, I've got a blind date tonight. If only I could get a substitute teacher for it. Waka waka, stuff like that. And just like my sister being as nice as she is, like, that's a good idea. Like, Caitlin, no, it's not. I'm just easier to come up with bad ideas than good ideas.
Please, God, don't put that in a show.
And that's why troops are always getting in trouble, because it's easier to come up with bad ideas than good ideas.
Amen. As evidenced by the 25 Article 15s I think I put out in the last 2 weeks.
Oof.
Oh, like, I have no idea how Mark does it, that he continuously puts out these incredible comics despite not having the inspiration delivered to his front door.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, for those who
I
don't,
live vicariously through you.
you're welcome. Like, if I ever got out of the, well, I'm sure at some point I'll get out of the Army, die trying. The inspiration will probably just dry up, and then I'll make a comic about being a Walmart greeter. I don't know, but like Mark, I don't know how you do it. There's like, so for those of you who don't know, like Mark is retired from the Army, and still puts out like Private Murphy.
Well, he's got the other one going on now. That's freaking amazing. So.
Oh yeah, talk about Charlie Mike.
Damn, you guys just put me on the spot. What's that?
I said it's still good shit.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, well, I'm excited about it, and also I think the authors are pretty excited about it too. I mean, because it's cool to see your story. The thing is, I mean, a lot of people do this. They blog and they write about their experiences, and and people will read those, those things. It's like a newspaper. When you go through a newspaper, people will read some of the stories. They'll, glance at this, that, or the other, but everyone always reads the comic.
Yep.
So somehow putting their stories with some cartoony-looking illustrations, I think people, they like to read it, and it's they're getting. I think it's kind of educational for a lot of people.
I think it also it helps make some really unpleasant or just sort of unimaginable things very accessible. Comics have that ability. Because it'd be one thing if we just wrote about our experience in the Army, and I'm not knocking that. I'm a huge bookworm, but by presenting it in comic strip form, I think just makes it a little more approachable. Because you don't imagine the face. The face is given to you. The setting is given to you. So I think that's one of the powers that like Charlie Mike has. It's like 99% of America has never seen Iraq. So therefore, graphic representation of it, it's just like, this is sort of making it more real than if you just wrote a short story and said this happened.
Yeah. I just thought of something. You're a friend of Derwin's.
Yes, I am.
You know him fairly well, and yet one of the greatest stories I have ever heard in my life has somehow not managed to make its way into GI Low yet.
What is it?
I'm curious now.
The man faked having the swine flu and shut down an entire division in the middle of Iraq.
Oh my God! Please make that one.
Oh, I'm like, you know what? Derwin and I have had this conversation before. So when the comic first started, Low was just an avatar for me because there was no story, there was no setting, there was no point to the comic. It was just a funny thing happened at work, and the easiest thing for me to draw was a caricature of me. And then once the comic started developing a following, it was like, well, let me make Lo his own character. And as such, I tried to do what I could to make him look less like me. And and like make it not only to make him look less like me, but act less like me. Because
Yeah.
again, Lowe's once he developed his own personality, he was like, oh man, this guy's a terrible non-commissioned officer. I was like, I don't want people thinking that's me. And so again, just sort of like creating this buffer space. So Derwin messaged me, and he was like, I really identify with this character. And I'm like, Derwin, that's not a good thing. We've joked about it, but for the record, Derwin is an incredible person. But it was just like, sort of like, oh man, I totally can identify with that situation. So sometimes, I mean, I'm working on a comic right now. I think I may have shared it with you, where it was based on an actual situation that Derwin's in right now, getting out of the service.
Yep.
And so I was just like, hey, do you mind if I pilfer from your life for the sake of a comic? He's like, I am so flattered. And it was like, I suppose that's an emotion, but all right. But yeah, he's a super duper supportive publisher.
I'm telling you, that is the greatest story the funniest, embarrassing story I've ever heard in my life.
I don't think I'd have Lo do that, because Lo's a crappy soldier, but like, I don't think he's necessarily clever enough to come up with something like that. He would probably be the put upon sergeant who had to deal with the aftermath.
You know, that would also make. I know that Charlie Mike is not about funny stuff, but I gotta say that
there's some funny stuff in there, but yeah.
That would be a great story to tell.
Wait, so I'm not familiar with this story. This is a real thing that happened?
I'll tell you about it later.
Okay.
Oh, the swine flu
People
thing? Yeah, listen to the episode of Daycare podcast. Derwin tells the story about the swine flu.
Yeah, it's called A Thin. His book's name is escaping me right now.
A Thin Line of Life? Or
Yes. Thin Line of Life is the name of the episode.
Well, one of my favorite Charlie Mike comics is the one about pooping from the
guard tower.
The guard tower. That's funny. Because whether or not you're in the military, there's always been that moment where nature calls and you're not in a good place for it.
Oh yeah.
That's a big universal experience.
So we have a female on the team. We have several of them, but this one was talking about how she had hang her ass out the vehicle and go. It's like, oh my God, seriously? Yeah, it's just one of those funny things.
It's just like the body doesn't know it's in the military, except when you try to walk up a flight of stairs and you feel your knees crack.
Oh, yeah, well, that's still happening.
Yep.
Because, body armor's light. But either one of you ever been in a CAT or 109 Alpha 6?
A what? I think that answered your question. I think what answered your question.
The Paladin or the ammo carrier for the carrier ammunition track, the CAT, for the Paladin.
I'm too much of a pogue for that.
No.
In the driver's hatch, because, let's face it, drivers are kind of stuck. There's this floor plate, and it's about 3 inches across, okay? 2.5 inches across. And it's got these bolts in it, but none of the drivers I've ever known have those bolts tightened down. We keep two of them out. One of them is just tight enough to keep it like fastened so it won't bump out, and the other one is like finger loose. And when you gotta go and you're driving, you kind of reach down, you pop the one that's out finger loose, and you just go out the hole while you're driving down the road.
What? Damn, man, that is nasty.
Hey, you ever been stuck driving for 16, 18 hours?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I haven't done something like that because I have, but it's still
That's
nasty.
what water bottles are for.
When you
And
gotta
MREs
shit,
constipate you, so therefore you don't have to poop.
when you gotta shit and you've been driving for 16 hours.
Oh, we're talking about shitting. We're not talking about just peeing.
No, we're talking about any bodily function that needs to happen.
Okay, well, I retract my last statement because I have never had to take a shit on the track. But I have like like in Germany, we're doing a 6-hour road march in Bradley's, and I have peed into the oil can.
Oh, I
You
don't
know,
blame you.
but no, and no one that I knew in my platoon ever took a dump on the vehicle. But hey, I guess if you have to, you gotta do that there.
I had a friend who once took a shit in front of the National Guard barracks at Fort Stewart, and I don't know if there was any reaction to it because they only showed up once a month.
Well,
It wasn't like a political statement. It was just we were going for a jog, and he was just like, yeah, waiting, and like, well, then from the National Guard barracks, and then he comes back, and I was like, did you find the bathroom? He's like, the door was locked.
Got half a shirt
So
on.
yeah, oh no, you didn't have boxers in it. It was just like, what do you use for toilet paper? I was like, well, my boxers. I mean, okay, gross.
we
So
had
I imagine some weekend warrior came back and found that. I was like, what these damn dog-faced soldiers.
there's a guest that we had on the show. I'm not going to say his name. He, I know for a fact he got a general's coin for shitting on Saddam's portrait.
It was me. You're welcome.
No, I was there
yeah.
with him.
I've never been to Iraq.
I deployed with him, and we took over the Fedidine National Headquarters first, and Saddam's portrait was out back of this damn thing, and he dropped trowel and shit right there on his face, and a general happened to catch it and gave him a fucking coin.
Now that is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a Charlie Mike story right there. I want to illustrate that.
We know you can draw.
I want to do this story.
We know you can draw Iraq, and we know you can draw shit. So just put the two together. If you can draw something, you're
Space.
Yeah.
But the
Due to
kicker is that
due to
the
his
general
job, I did not
by
believe he should let you
slapping
use his
a
face.
coin in the dude's hand.
like, God, I love those stranger than fiction moments that the military will give you.
Yeah.
I'll tell a quick story. So there are moments in my life where I think this is perfect for a JLO comic, except no one would believe it, and they think I'm just being weird. And if any of my soldiers are listening, which I doubt, this is the most recent incident of just a true Army what the fuck moment. I'm marching the soldiers to the schoolhouse, and one of my soldiers isn't swinging his arm. Why aren't you swinging your arm? We're marching. Except, I'm screaming it. And he's like, drill sergeant, I don't want to spill the cup. Spill the cup? What? There's a cup in my pocket, drill sergeant. I was like, show me the cup that's in your pocket. He pulls out a full coffee cup from the deep bag.
Good.
No, it's not like a ceramic thing like that. It had coffee in it. And he was bringing it to the schoolhouse. I'm just like,
What an absolute animal, dude.
and so I'm just like, take that out of your pocket, hold it up high, so that everyone in this entire company can see I'm not making this up when I reference it again. You had a cup of boiling hot coffee in your pocket, and you were just holding onto it with one hand, hoping it didn't spill and give me third-degree burns.
In your crotch.
And so I stopped the company as I was marching on. Hey, do you all remember that lawsuit a really long time ago where that lady spilled McDonald's coffee in her lap and sued them?
No,
And
it was before they were born.
Oh, it was a decade before they were born. Ask your grandparents. So I was like, you know how everyone made fun of her? Think of that the next time you ever feel high and mighty. One of your fellow soldiers put a cup of boiling hot coffee in his pocket and was like, this was a good idea.
How the fuck did he get it in his pocket?
He just he put it in his, I don't know. I can't think like
What
that.
the fuck?
And I thought this would be perfect for GLO, but if I did it, people would be like, where does he come up with his ideas? That's so weird. It was like, reality.
Boot camp was a trip. When I went through, it was just hilarious the whole time. Like, I had a great time.
It's the funniest job I've ever had.
That shit
The
was
picture
hilarious.
is good for my comic, but it's bad for my sanity.
Oh. I was still waiting for a character to walk by in the background of G.I. with fucking nipples sticking out his damn uniform.
It might happen.
Oh
I don't know.
God, please. It's got to be during PT because that's when I got the nickname. Was when I was doing squats one day, and they asked me where I was at, and I sent them a picture. It was like a selfie, and my nipples were hard as a rock. I don't know why. I guess it was cold in the gym that day, but my God.
Well, if you follow my page, which I know you guys do,
Yeah, dude.
so I post pictures of I sell T-shirts, the GI logo and all that good stuff, and people send me pictures, and it's the coolest thing in the world, and it's free marketing, and I love it. But I did have someone send me a picture where it was very clearly a cold day, and I was like,
Oh hell yeah.
and much to
Perfect
Mark,
advertising.
yeah, much to Mark's chagrin, I do not have Photoshop. I mean, yet. But I use paint, so I was like, is there any way I could paint out the very protruding nipples in this picture? It's kind of distracting.
Wait, I want to see this picture.
I'll show it to you in a little bit, but it was just like, thank you, great. I think it's actually, I'm no joke. I tried MS Painting, like photoshopping like the nipples from sticking out, and it just looked even worse and made more distracting. It looked like doing paste beats.
Oh my God.
And it was just like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna post this as is.
How did these
Okay.
nipples get further out?
Speaking of shirts with nipples, we now have a shirt on Teespring temporarily until we sell enough, and then Kilo Charlie or something like that clothing is gonna take over the shirts for us. But it says Daycare Podcast. It has a logo and it has nipples on it.
Oh hell yeah.
That sounds good for a bachelorette party.
I was like, well, let's do nipples because So,
Wow.
yep. There's one shirt with nipples and there's several without. So,
Yeah, one for the grandparents, I got you.
well, or if you have to show up for formation or unit thing or whatever.
We need to make Daycare podcast shirts that are the same colors as shirts underneath all the branches' uniforms.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty cool.
It's called
Well,
Coyote Brown.
I've got Coyote Brown GILO shirts, and I forget who suggested it, so I'll just give credit, give a product placement shout out to Dirty Ape Inc., who at least made the shirts. I don't know if they were the ones who suggested it, though. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. But then there's also that voice in my head that's a drill sergeant goes, if you saw your soldiers wearing, a Coyote Brown T-shirt with like writing on it, how would you react? Like, I'd kill him. It's like, what if it was a GI shirt? Oh, you praise him. Plus, I make money on it, so
Yeah. Any sales we get is to work towards a soundboard for Mr. Nipples to bring the show to the next level. So
Maybe
I
a sports
have
fan for this
a
business?
ghetto soundboard rigged up right now, but if I could get
Yeah.
a full soundboard, that'd be pretty lit.
yep. Our eventual goal is to end up on Veterans Radio Network. So
Yeah.
Well, some people who work for veterans, so
Oh,
Veterans Network.
in fact, that's our next crossover is with J-Dub.
J-Dub's the man. I did. I was actually. So I've done Backwoods Veterans Nation twice. You could brag that I've been on Daycare podcast 3 times now. So But yeah, we kind of shared this sentiment. I went up to Oregon to see them for this Memorial Day concert that we did. And so we all kind of commiserated the fact that so it was J-Dub, the whole Backwoods Veterans Nation crew, and this stand-up comedian Dakota Potter, who you have to have in the show. He's hysterical. But we were all kind of talking about this whole veterans in pop culture thing and how so many of us were basically piecing together what we're doing with safety pins and trying to hide it. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do.
I mean, none of us have much money. So it's like I quite naturally the GLO is all done in MS Paint. Much of this you're gonna keep selling. I need to use Photoshop, But like I was recording shows with J-Dub, and I mean we're just like using laptops and like uh, microphones purchased at like Best Buy and stuff like that. I mean, it's like this isn't something that people are doing because they're making money off of it, or at least much money. It's just because they feel passionate about it. And so it's a lot of just sort of, I don't know. I'm rambling. You can tell I just got off work.
No,
I get it.
You're spot on.
It's the truth. It's yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lot of great talent trying to catch up with, lack of resources necessarily.
Yeah. Well, we do this because stories need to get out there. There's too many stories being lost and too many things happening and too much stuff interesting to the veteran community that's not being covered. So,
like the second episode of BV Nation I was on, we were recording out of, I think it was the producer's living room, and we just had a green screen behind us. And it wasn't even like a fancy green screen. It was like, I got a green blanket. Like, that'll work.
Wait, so it was audio and video?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Wait, where is it? Where can I see it?
It's on YouTube. It's definitely on the GILO page. But if you also go onto the Backwoods Veterans Nation page, and I'm pretty sure Dakota Potter shared it because it was a crazy show. Oh, we just done the Guitars for Stars concert. I mean, I should say they put it together, and I got drunk and made witty comments on the side. But it was just an insane weekend for a good cause because we were all trying to raise money for the Red Circle Foundation, which, hopefully we did. Recognizing families of Gold Star, Gold Star families that had lost, obviously, Gold Star.
yeah.
So, but in the meantime, we had fun, crazy debauchery,
Speaking of debauchery, I was on Friday Night Debauchery a few weeks ago. That was fun.
I haven't listened to that episode yet. I've been so swamped with work. I feel so bad. I'm sure it's hysterical / lots of good music.
Oh, there's a lot of good music. There wasn't, we talked, we joked, but yeah, it was, yeah.
How long are their shows?
3 hours.
Ah, damn.
All right, I was a guest on Friday Night Debauchery while I was in Oregon, and appropriately enough, we recorded it around noon, so it was Friday noon debauchery.
What's that?
I think it's got a text message. And what was funny though is if you listen to the episode of Backwoods Veterans we did right afterwards, I got a great introduction to Backwoods country because throughout this show, whenever a song was playing or whatnot, like J-Dub would say, "I'm gonna have a cigarette in the driveway." I was like, "Okay, that's cool, man." And so after we record this show, I go out to the driveway and meet with him, and there's just this squirrel flopping around, and I was like, I just kind of figured like a car hit it and it flew into his driveway or something like that. But the squirrel is visibly still alive, and J-Dub's like, "How is that thing still alive?" And I was just like, I don't know. I was like, "I put like 2 bird shots between his eyes." I said, I went up to the squirrel and there's a little bullet hole in his head. It was like, either you shot that or this is a very dangerous neighborhood for squirrels. And so he goes, "Hang on." By the way, if you yell at J-Dub on the show, he's always like volume out of 10. So, "I'm going to go in the house. I'll be right back." And he comes back with a handgun. He's like, "Plug your ears." And he shoots the squirrel. And I was like, "Oh, okay." I think he was like, "Welcome to the backwoods." And I see the squirrel flopping around. And then he picks it up with the tail. And this squirrel has no head anymore. And I was just like, that is such a great introduction to J-Dub.
Yeah, we had him on a few weeks ago.
In Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah, I listened to that episode, so I'm at least, somewhat of a good friend. And,
Yeah, that was a fun show. That was the Grenadier. That was a good show. God, that was a good story too.
That show was hilarious.
Did he tell the story? I forget.
What's that?
Did he squirrel story when he was on?
No.
10,000.
No, his story was
Probably because that happens on a daily basis for him. I just imagine it's like, "Oh, geez, a butterfly lost its wing. Hang on a second, put it on its emitter. Okay, it's dead."
No, yeah, but the Grenadier story, I'm telling you, that's a highlight of the show.
Do you remember that? Yeah. So, if you need a good entertaining, 2 hours, listen to the Daycare podcast that J-Dub is on. Listen to anything J-Dub's on. He's hysterical.
Mark, that would make an amazing comic, by the way.
Okay, I'm gonna listen to this and
The
use it without
Grenadier.
his permission.
The Grenadier. Well, I'm sure J-Dub won't care. He shared it publicly.
I worry all the time. I don't know.
Well, if you want, I can connect you, and you can just ask for permission. He'll give it to you.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I would rather, unlike other times in my life, I'd rather get permission first than.
Yeah. Let me just do.
I have an unspoken agreement with Mark. Any of my stories are fair game.
Oh, we just hit an hour, by the way.
All right. Well, if you guys want to shut off, we can, or if you guys want to continue on for a few extra minutes, we sure can. Or...
I'm actually fine setting off because, in addition to having been up since 3 this morning, I don't think I've eaten since 7.
And Pete actually has a
07.
job that he has to be at.
And then
Oh,
weekend
dark
drill?
30. Whereas I do not.
Yeah, so it's a 4-day weekend, and the other drill
You
sergeants
still
I'm
gotta
working
work.
with, who are just terrific, we're all just kind of like, once again, we're like, we survived another week, and they're high-fiving, just like, oh, good, this week was horrible, but we got through it, and then they look at me and it's like, good luck on weekends.
Oof.
All right, let's start the safety briefing. The biggest thing that you need to know about this weekend for safety briefing is you do something stupid, the judge won't be back until Tuesday.
You got a few extra days to get your bail together.
Oh no, you can't get your bail. Yeah, exactly. It's you ain't getting out until Tuesday. So.
I just dread the stupid things my soldiers will come up with this weekend. It's a 4-day weekend, and it's if I said don't touch the hot stove, it's the hot stove, and then to me that the stove is hot.
Put them back in black phase.
I'd like to put them back in red phase.
Okay, put them back in red
what?
phase.
Take him back to maps and be like, yeah, it's not done cooking yet.
There you go. Do it.
Yes, it's not really in my authority.
No, okay.
They
Our drills
probably
would just
will.
do that shit for fun, but Army has gotten so much nicer since then.
Well, I haven't, but
You weren't even in the Army when I got in. You were still in
that was during the early years of the 100-Year War, right?
Don't make Pete talk like he was just being born.
Oh.
It's not an ego boost, believe me.
Yeah.
When I was in
It's like,
Iraq,
I was still a testicle.
Yeah.
So joke's on you, old man.
When I was in Iraq, Pete was still in high school, so.
Probably. I just don't again. Before we started recording this show, I'm whining endlessly to Mark because I just got off work about this stuff and whatnot, and it's just we're talking about power and authority of sergeants, drill sergeants, anyone in the military who has any kind of authority, and he brought up the fact it's like back when I was a corporal, and he gave a year, and I was like I was 1.
Oh, speaking of leadership, did you see that meme I made?
No, which one?
I have barely
Retention?
been on the internet in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, the retention. I saw that one.
Okay, you guys have seen Zombieland, right?
Oh yeah.
No.
The one where Tallahassee first beats that dude in the head with the banjo.
Yeah.
Well, it's that picture right there, and it says the Army can't figure out why the retention rate is so low. And in the back, you see what's his name, Eisenberg, and it says NCO is real small. And Tallahassee, it says senior leadership. And the zombie is morale. The banjo is stupid shit. And then in the back, believe it or not, there's actually Twinkies in that scene. And I have the Twinkie box marked as mission. I just think it's funny. He spent the entire movie looking for fucking Twinkies. And the first damn grocery store they went in, there was fucking Twinkies on the shelf.
They got distracted in that one.
That's why they made a sequel. We could go back and find the Twinkies. Yeah.
I am dying to see this movie.
I just love the marketing for Zombieland 2, where they're like, Academy Award nominee Woody Harrelson, Academy Award nominee Jesse Eisenberg, Academy Award nominee Abigail Breslin, and Academy Award winner Emma Stone in Zombieland 2.
Real quick, you mentioned the Gold Star function. If you guys ever do run into him. Actually, our guest last week was probably our best bet, our special episode guest. Best bet for this to ever happen. If you ever talk to Gary Sinise, we would love to have him on the show because we have a Gold Star mother or a Gold Star wife that would love to thank him personally. So, just gotta put that out there every chance I can.
Well, I have seen the Lieutenant Dan band, and they were terrific. I did not get a chance to meet Gary Sinise, though, but if somehow I have that, I will definitely direct them your way.
Thank you, because we have Staff Sergeant Duha Tran was my best friend in the world, and he passed away downrange. And Gary Sneeson's organization has done more for her family than you'd ever believe.
You sound a little bit muffled
I
there.
can't hear you guys.
Oh, of course. Yep. There we go. That better?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds much
All
better.
right. Yep. Gary Sneeson's organization has done more for her family than you would ever believe is even humanly possible. So it's
So-
amazing.
I guess, like on a closing note, if there's any any service members out there, and you hear about Lieutenant Dan Band coming to your base, post, whatever, absolutely go see them. If you feel like donating, Lieutenant Dan Band, absolutely fantastic cause.
Yes, it is. All right, let's finish up the since we got sidetracked on the safety brief. Anything you want to put in on the weekend safety brief?
Hey guys, I got.
Oh, sorry.
Go.
I was gonna say, don't drink and drive. Do your drugs and stay in school.
Okay.
Hey, I just got a quick question, and it's not really a safety brief, but so a lot of people were asking me, about this this podcast we're doing. So it's not live, right? We're not live.
Oh, we're
We're
live.
live.
Oh, we are live.
Yep.
Okay, so I wasn't able to tell them like, hey, this is where you tune in to hear us live.
It'll
That's my
post. It
bad.
posts after. It's fine. It'll
Yeah,
be
I
here.
mean, I really kind of just like directed them to your Facebook webpage or your Facebook page.
I'm sure they'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
There's a link there for it, but it'll take them to
So
the
if you
YouTube
go
page.
there, we would be live. We'd be
If they go there, there's a link to the show on YouTube. I'm
Okay.
still waiting for Mr. Nipples to get us on iTunes.
Yeah, if you need, I can direct you there too.
okay. So I'm just okay.
Well, my contribution to the safety brief, and I think I've said some variation on this every time I've been on the show. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Like, I could reiterate all the same points, and by the way, my soldiers give me endless material to boomerang back to don't be stupid, but I'll just make this sincere. If you feel like you're struggling with anything, it is not a sign of weakness to ask for help. And
We've
that
actually-
includes people. That includes soldiers in IET, active duty, and veterans. There are an endless number of resources out there. Please call out, even if just to a friend. if you're
We actually
struggling.
ended up with a new admin because of how honest he was when he reached out to us for help. He was so honest and so truthful and so actively seeking help. He's actually a member of the crew now, so he's one of the admins over on the Venting Vets page.
Mhm.
Who, by the way, will be the second guest next month, is the creator of Venting Vets. My contribution, since you covered the suicide angle, is do not let a prostitute wrap you in saran wrap and shit on your chest.
Very important. Take notes, please.
We've all been there.
No. My first sergeant in Germany had to give that as a safety briefing for a month because somebody got herpes on his face from letting the prostitute shit on his chest.
Good night.
Absolute
I'm
class
sure my
act.
parents aren't listening to this episode.
Very, very, very classy Army. Thank you.
Yeah, you should probably do a whole episode where people just call in with these types of stories.
That'd be a good
Probably
episode.
fill
We
up
would
a
love
good
it.
5 hours of unbelievable, why I had to have this safety briefing.
We would
Because
love
someone actually did this crazy shit.
The Army is basically hashtag fan as a profession.
it. Yeah. I would love to have an episode like that. Oh, and FYI, since we have probably the biggest audience we might ever have tonight, we are looking for people to come on in October, the last Wednesday in October, to share a ghost story. or something spooky that happened in your life.
Oh man!
I will
okay.
definitely put that out to my page.
I have someone who will definitely tell you a killer ghost story.
And if we need to, their name will be John or Joan if we need to, if they don't want their name out there. So
All right.
it's yeah. That's gonna be a fun episode. And don't forget the memorial wall. We need memorial wall is actually still down. We're gonna be adding all the first responders from 9/11 to that wall.
That sounds great.
Because I know they weren't service members, so to speak, but they gave their lives.
They
in the
served their
ultimate
country.
Sacrifice. Yes, they did. They made the ultimate sacrifice an act of terror. So,
Absolutely.
with that said, we will sign off, and thanks again, gents, for coming on. Sorry we didn't cover your comics again.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on again.
Yeah.
Thanks
It's
for coming
never
on
boring
again.
talking to you two.
So, alrighty, gents. You guys stay safe this weekend.
You too.
You too. Thanks.
All right.